we will get started just here in a few minutes. If you guys would, let me make sure I'm good to go on both ends. Yep. All right, we're going to do a quick review here, kind of midday. It's 12 o'clock Central here in Florida. I want to show you guys a couple things that I'm looking at and go over some trades that I've taken so far today and give you my overall sentiment going into tonight. So we have a lot of earnings coming up. I think you guys all know that. And it's really interesting because from the supply and demand perspective, we are very close to my weekly target. And I want to show you that. I want to show you how all of that is coming into play. All right. So the idea for me, my overall sentiment has been bullish. But of course, as we enter and get close to the supply zones going into Apple, Amazon, and so forth, big earnings coming up, it's just kind of suspect a little bit, but not a big deal. We could break right through those supply zones, but let's go over them really quick. So first things first, I'm going to pull up my trading platform here on Thinkorswim. All right, and we're going to start with the ES futures. Okay. And hopefully things will work out. Knock on some wood here. And I say that because my internet's been a little on the fritz today. I have two carriers, but for some reason, or two different services, and one of them went out and then the second one went out, so I'm not sure if they're doing some stuff in the neighborhood today. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So this is the ES futures. Nice little push here into our levels. I want to go over those with you really fast. So we have our inside and down here, that formation. I've been showing you that for quite a while now. And then we were trading net long off of this idea here that we were building an inside and up formation. Last week we did indeed close on that inside and up, and you could see that we tested that level and then pushed right back up. So again, price is moving from an inside and up, pushing into an inside and down. There is a lot of selling pressure in here. We're basically chewing through that, but we are approaching that line. So at around 40.65 now. Just to be clear, we don't have to touch that. It's just that we're getting very close to it. And because of that, I just want to be cautious. So I am net long. I have a hedge on, right? Just a very, very small hedge. And what I'm doing is with my net longs is that I'm trimming or closing them as we approach these zones. Okay. Once price can actually show me that it can push up and over and hold this level, that's a different story. Then the bottom of that or the top of that supply zone then becomes support, and we could slowly move up through this box and towards 42.24. Okay. Now, are we extended? Do things feel like they're extended? I don't think so. From a weekly perspective, we have two yellow bars here on the TTM squeeze. Things are just starting to line up from a weekly perspective. You could see that price came into the lower demand zone here. These are my longer term demand zones, these blue lines. And so far, everything we just kind of accumulated in this area and then pushed up. So again, this is shorter term look here, looking for a possible movement of 40.65 right before earnings. Let's go ahead and go into the daily. All right, so this is our daily chart. There's a lot of words on here, but man, I wish somebody would have shown me this stuff because at the end of the day, this really, really is a great blueprint. And to understand it, I want to show you. So we had previous supply. Price left this zone. It found support at a higher time frame demand zone. Price then pushed up. It hit supply. It rejected like it should have. It then comes back to the higher time frame demand zone. Then we go bid, and then we get close to that supply and we pull back again. But just like anything else, the more that we test supply, the weaker that it gets, or the weaker that the bears get. No offense. And then we push and we break through that zone. And now you can see that zone over here has now become some support for this move up that we are currently getting. Okay. Few things to note. This cloud is now support on the 4-hour. Notice that price came into here on that 3-day pullback. It found love right here into that cloud. It also found love at the trendy edges. Again, these identifications. And you could see that price is pushing up from here, right? So let's see here. Let's go to... Let's try that. That way you guys can see that. So you can see on both ends there. Sorry, talking to some of our members over here. All right. So on the daily, all right, we're pushing up over the highs, and that was my question today. Like, can we actually push over the pivot high? And I'm going to show you on a smaller time frame what that looks like. We've done this quite a few times live, and I feel like there's a great process around this that you can learn. You'll notice that price came right down into a trendy edge. Okay, and then we found and bidded off of that level, and the rest is history. Here we are up at 29 points. Now, the better look is right here. This really goes to show you like just how beautiful these levels can work out, and how I use the TTM squeeze in conjunction with a pullback. Okay, so this right here is the trendy edge. We came right down into this level, and as we come down into this level, I understand that this is a demand level. Okay, so I'm looking for buyers to show up, but then immediately I'm also paying attention to the bars here. Now, what I look for is specifically for us to change from red to yellow. Once we do that, we feel confident about the move up to the upside. Okay, so again, we've shown this probably 3 consecutive times of price coming down into the edge here live, and then you seeing the result. And then here we go, red to white to green. Very nice trade. Now, as far as like how much more we can get, again, I'm thinking like maybe 40.65. That is possible. And I'll show you what that looks like on the SPX. Now, again, being very careful here, I would love to see a pullback back to the 40-30 area. Now, the reason why I say that is because I have a butterfly down there just as a hedge. Okay, so if price wants to come down into there, I'll be very happy. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? So again, that is ES futures. Let's go ahead and pull up the TV. Okay, so we'll pull up TV, which is Trading View. And this is my blueprint for the possibility of SPX today. Okay, so if we get a little extended, prices push up really strong here, we could see into this level, but I have a butterfly that's sitting down here. All right, so I have a butterfly that's sitting down there, and right now this is just a clean naked chart without any of my scripts on it, just to kind of so you could see the levels to the right. Right here, so you can see that my targets are 40.76, 41.08, and you can see this butterfly down here. This is the butterfly that I have, a 40.30 by 35 by 40. So I say a hedge, but this is actually the call side. So this morning, off of those levels that I just showed you, I went ahead and bought a butterfly. And I do believe that if buyers basically start to show a little bit of weakness here, this flag will break and we'll come right back down into this level here. Okay, so that's how I'm approaching this. This is very inexpensive. This was 30 cents, but can pay out about 10x or so. Okay, so that's what's going on there on SPX. Now let's go ahead and look at, if you follow me and you read the newsletter, then you know that we push out what's called the neutral strategy. I want to go over that really quick. And just kind of show you how things are working far as this week. That way you can understand how we trade these. Now, I do a really good job of explaining how to trade them. This week specifically, I said on a pullback, because we're coming into earning season, for the most part, I'm not looking to go short. I'm actually looking for the lower levels to be support. And what I mean by that, if you look here, you can see that we came down into the target 1 underneath the neutral strategy. And you can also see just right under there, let me go ahead and zoom in for you. So right underneath here, we have our trendy levels. Now, these might not show up in the newsletter at that time. Okay, but they do pop up Monday morning before, right as the market opens, like right on the minute. And this gives our traders here those indicators and to understand what we're looking for in that level. So price did break down below the neutral. You could see that, but we did go bid here, and this was a buying opportunity. And now you could see to the upside, we've hit T1, T2, and T3. So all targets are hit at the moment. And this week, specifically, I went ahead and put a zone up here. So this is a supply zone on a higher time frame that I was showing you there on the ES futures, and you could see that it is between 408 and 417. So today we bought some 410 calls on that push over the pivot high. Those made quick money. That was a bigger position in my bigger account, and then I just kind of trimmed out of those really quickly. All right, that was the move. Now, my target overall here, timing is the variable. I would love for it to come in a little bit, but my target is this upper edge here, the trendy edge at 411.19. Okay, 411.19. This is my target. All right. Now, far as the QQQs go, I want you to notice as well that, the target's down here to the downside. Again, looking for support. Maybe we didn't touch it. Maybe we missed it by a couple pennies. But this is a support zone in here. And you can see that buyers did step up on the Qs, and then they pushed up very nicely. And here we are trying to approach that pink level, right? That trendy edge. So this has been a leading indicator, the Qs, right? They've kind of led the way to the downside. They've led their way to the upside. And far as the divergence between the two, we're coming up into that zone. All right. So again, this is a zone up here where this pink line is, and up here is the zone for the SPY. Okay. So we've led the way on the Qs. We've made it faster to that supply zone. And I'm going to show you this on a bigger picture as soon as I minimize this, okay? So T1 is now support 305.05. Your target is 309.38, and up and over can see 312. Far as SPY on the left-hand side, for right now, your support is 403.67. You see how what was resistance becomes support. 403.67 is our support and our target right now. Now, this is really wide, so I want to show you something that's really cool. I'm going to throw some Fibonacci's between two targets. Now, you have to understand that my targets come from fibs. They come from supply and demand. So this tends to work out for me really well. So between the two opposing targets, it's a long way and we're already sort of extended. So what I want to do here is use these fibs. So for my intraday traders, if that 403 down there and some change is your support, these are going to be your targets instead of, looking for 408. That's kind of a lot to ask for today. So again, 403.67 is support, 404.79, 405.53, 406, like that. Okay? So hopefully you understand that. If you have any questions, you could reach out to me. All right, let's go ahead and minimize that. We're going to take you back into let's go right here. All right. You can see we're getting a bunch of buy signals here off of my scripts. They've worked really well for today. The TTM squeeze was a champ right into our trendy level. Looks beautiful. Now, just like the ES, I want to take you over to the NASDAQ and show you on a higher time frame. Remember, guys, with the NASDAQ, even if you don't trade the futures, NQ is about 42-ish points for every dollar in the Qs. All right, so it gives you an idea. If I'm gunning for something and you see how many points away it is, you could do the math and you'll understand what I'm looking at on the Qs. Now on the ES, I showed you that zone just a few minutes ago, and over here you could see that zone on an inside and down. The difference is the Qs, okay, found their support and now they have made their way back up into the supply zone, but they are holding the zone. Okay, so they are chewing away supply here. And the way that I like to look at this, as long as the bottom portion of my zone is holding 12,440, my targets were 12,727, 12,804, 12,949, each one of these being resistance. Now notice Apple and those guys are reporting tonight. All right, and notice how we're coming right into this blue level here. Okay, this is a what was demand. It is now right here resistance for right now. So again, that's why my target is lined up there. Okay, so far we've overall sentiment has been great. We've been trading off of the weekly. That's worked out. The market hasn't been extremely easy though. It reminds me of the beginning of the year where things were kind of bullish, but when you look around, it hasn't been the easiest market to trade. Okay, now we've done well. This week is kind of slow, but also there's been some great trades we've had today. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, we have on the smaller account today, we've trimmed in mode at 70%, 55%, and then we were stopped out for 22% positives. We had, some SPX trades that were 40, 50%. We had butterflies yesterday that were 100% on SPX. I also sold an iron condor that went against me because the market was so bullish. That was really interesting, right? It's kind of weird to be a bull and then have the market just keep going up, and you're like, man, I'm making money on my net longs, but my iron condor, I don't want it to go past that. Either way, though, we were set off, as far as the loss goes, by being able to make 100% in the butterflies. And then UNH didn't work out for me this week, which was really a bummer. It was up 30% as soon as we took it, which was a really nice trade. And then it came back yesterday. It stopped me out for 60%, and now here it is making its way right back up. It's been absolutely, overall, it's like one of those things where you go, okay, well, I'm okay with my risk in the trade, but I stick to my rules. So in my small account, what I try to do there is follow my rules and try to get stopped out, at 50%. And these guys, they have pretty wide swing spreads, so sometimes that's hard to do. So the 50% turned into a 60%. But again, that's my small account. But overall, this chart's been absolutely beautiful. It continues to look great. All right. Now on the other end, in healthcare, we do have EVH on right now. And so my EVH blueprint looks a lot like this, okay? And it's pretty straightforward. You could see it there on the 4 hour. We're coming up to a pivot high, all right? And basically almost like a double top look. This thing's been super strong. We are squeezing down here on the TTM squeeze on the weekly. It's just a matter of time is what I'm looking for. These targets up here between 37 and 41 are me using a Fibonacci extension. And so I am looking for price to push into here if we indeed can break above resistance at 35.14. Okay. All right, let's go over here and talk about TWLO. This was a butterfly that I put on that was 10 wide. We sold this morning for, I don't know, 50%. Pretty close to 50%. So we bought at $1.60 and sold for 2 something. Overall, I love this. I just realized that they do have earnings coming up. And it looks like we sold right at the right time. It's kind of come back down from its plus dollar this morning. Now, I want to tell you, I love this on a quarterly chart, and I like it up towards 101, 111. And I actually am looking at like 85 days out and targeting the 130 area. Of course, I don't know what's going to happen on earnings. If you look at their financials, you can kind of get an idea what you think about them. That's up to you. But I like the technicals on the chart themselves. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go over here and look at Costco, COST. This was one of my favorites this morning. I really messed this up. It came right into my support zone, but I was looking at the weekly and I was thinking to myself when it was, only up a couple bucks, I said, yeah, this is going to be a inside week. I figured price would be right there. All right. And then next week, I was telling our team, I want to go long on an inside and up and go up here towards 539. Literally, as soon as I'm thinking that, this thing took off. It was only up like $2. It's now up almost $14 and pushing up towards my target. So, yeah. those things happen. The market looks pretty great here. From a bigger perspective, we came into the lower edge. We found buyers. We're going from a red to white momentum. Look at the squeeze down here on the EMAs, right? And then we see these higher lows on the compression here. This thing is looking really nice. I will tell you that we do have supply right in here. Okay, so a lot of resistance. Notice we have the trendy edge there to let us know that formation is there. So I do want to be cautious, but there is definitely this idea that Costco, after it settles under here for a bit, can run up into the 575 to 600 level again. So I really like trading this. It's a good time. So it moves a lot, and that's what I want to be looking for on Costco. So going forward by Friday, if we can hold above 530, I think I'm going to try to take a couple weeks out and aim towards this target up here. But this is a very big level. This is a trendy edge, and it is resistance until proven otherwise, and that is 539.86. Okay. All right, so let's look here. We went over the Qs, the SPY, Costco, EVH, SPX. Let's go back over there just really fast and take a look. Actually, let's see. We're going to use our right here. Yeah, here we go. So they are pushing up. It looks like there is a possibility we could see that 4074 level. It's currently up 36 points at 4060. So not looking bad. Not looking bad for SPX traders. My biggest, look when I look back at what the ES futures were doing on the chart and how we had it pegged perfectly right off the trendy edge. My biggest thing was I ended up doing a butterfly because I felt like the market needed to calm down a little bit, and I took the safer way by buying a butterfly, and I was looking at the portion of the butterfly. I was looking at taking the 40/40 calls on SPX when we got the pullback, and those were at $1 something, and they're literally trading right now. And I know you shouldn't do this, right? You really shouldn't do this to yourself, but they are trading at $22.55. So right here, I was thinking to myself, 40/40 calls, and I'm like, John, you're not looking for a new pivot high. Like, don't get ahead of yourself. And lo and behold, here we are. It's just like one of those things. It's one of those things that happen. So we are headed up towards the weekly target. And you can see that we're getting very close. This is the same blueprint that I've been pushing out for a long time. Listen to me before I jump off really quick. So everything that I do is geared towards a specific type of trader. So I'm very versatile. So I have to give you an idea around a weekly, a daily, a 4-hour, and a 5-minute chart, but I have a process that you can use on all of these time frames, okay? And so it depends on who you are. There's a lot of traders who do really well just on the scalp side of the day. They're into the big percentage gains. And then we have traders who like a little bit more time because they're busy. They have work that they have to tend to. They have families and so forth. So this chart right here on the weekly, as I was explaining yesterday, is you want to look at it. We call it the beast trade. The idea is that you live your life between the stop and the target. Okay, I showed this blueprint early on over the weekend last week, and so the idea is once we went bid over this level, you want to be long. Okay, and as long as you're not getting stopped out, you're staying in the trade until we reach up here into this box, and then you're trimming and keeping some. Now, what I see a lot of times, this has happened to me, I still have friends that do this to this day, is that we get close to a target and they just close. Now, for me, that's not really how you want to approach it. Okay, you want to find your Fibonacci levels that I teach here, and as long as you're staying above those levels, stay in the trade. Just trim some. All right. Another thing that you can use is the cloud. Okay, so this cloud right here, notice that the cloud is an absolute support. Okay, every time it comes back to here, it goes bid. See how it's just sitting on this cloud? So you could have a process that simply says, especially, you take a 40/40 and you're literally up 1,023% right now. I'm looking at, my PL here. and that's part of the butterfly. It's showing up 1030%. You take something like this, I mean, if you have more than one, like, don't be greedy, right? As we approach the higher targets, you go ahead and you trim some, but maybe on the remainder, you tell yourself, hey, I want to stay in this trade as long as we could stay above the cloud. That is a process, folks. Okay, that is a process. So just have one. And because one of the hardest things is to actually stay in a trade long enough, and a lot of people beat themselves up for not making, the money that they really wanted to make. Now, I can't sit here and say that I don't ever mess up. I do it all the time. I mess up things as well. I'm very transparent. And as you guys all know, my alerts come straight from my brokerage account to my room within milliseconds. So it's really straightforward. You know, I win some, I lose some, but I have a process. Try to stick to that process the best I can. Okay. So right now, everything's looking pretty good. Market's super bullish. We're coming into some big earnings. I think going into earnings tonight, I'll probably put on a couple trades just like we did for QCOM, which let's go over that really quick. We'll go over here to QCOM before we finish. But I might do some iron condors or something like that going into Apple and so forth. Okay. Now this one, they had 200% implied vol. So we sold above and below. Those are looking pretty good right now. And, the bigger picture here, 212%. That's crazy. So this is my iron condor right here. Check out how it is reacting off of my levels. So what you want to be doing is identifying areas, right? Areas where price could come into and find support. And you want to find areas where a price pushed up, you understand that they can reject. You just don't pick numbers because based off of, whatever. Like the MMs are like, hey, there's an expected move of X, Y, and Z, so I'm just going to sell spreads around that. That's not how I do things. So I use supply and demand because I understand how price can react out of those. And then you can sell spreads around those and then benefit. Okay, so that was the idea and the concept there going into Qualcomm earnings. Okay, all right, guys. So they're squeezing two, which is good for me. So the further they get up here, the better the iron condor looks. So just know that. So if you're a bull on this and you don't do spreads, just know that we're starting to squeeze here, and we could see something later next week. Okay. All right. If you don't have any questions, I appreciate you guys. Don't forget, check us out at trendytrading.co. We have a really cool trial that you can try out for $5. And until then, we'll see you again. Have a nice day.